everybody, and welcome to another British Touring Car video with me, Brad, your host, and of course I have my good friend with me, Ben. Say hello.
Hello, I'm back again.
So this time around, you may have seen at the end of last year we did a season review of the 2020 British Touring Car season. This time around it's the 2021 British Touring Car season. It's not a review though, it's a preview. So to kind of give a quick rundown as to what we're going to be talking about. So the first thing that we're talking about today is the rule changes. We've then also got, just to mention it as well, the other ones. So we've got the driver changes and the team changes and things like that. We're going to mention briefly about the calendar. And we'll obviously give our opinions on who we think will have the best chance of winning the title and can make the most of the new rule changes and stuff like that that are going to be coming into effect. And that should just about cover it. So this is going to be like a podcast style thing, so if you want to leave this on the background or watch the whole thing through, that's up to you. But yeah, we'll kick things off with the rule changes, the first part. So to kind of clarify, so between 2020 and 2021 there wasn't too much in terms of rule changes between last season and this season. However, the main ones that we want to mention between ourselves was that, so Saturday from now there are 2 free practice sessions of 40 minutes and a qualifying session of 30 minutes, with the exception of Donington Park, Snetterton and Silverstone. Also, following the successful implementation of the new qualifying format at Silverstone last year, the top 10 showdown format, which was used back then, for which Colin Turkington took pole, that will actually be replicated at Donington Park, Snetterton and Silverstone in 2021. Replacing the usual 30-minute session, drivers will have a marginally reduced window of 25 minutes to record the lap times. Following a short 5-minute break, the fastest 10 competitors will then progress to a 10-minute pole position, top 10 showdown session to determine the top 10 places on the grid. Basically, it's like Q3 for F1 qualifying in a way.
Yeah, that's it. Or also, it's like V8 supercars. If anybody's ever bothered to watch that and watch like Bathurst, you'll see they do that style basically.
Exactly.
And it works really well, and it's good to watch as a person where you can just watch it as a fan, because you get the qualifying, which some people might not be interested in, but then the top 10 shootout bit is where you get what's really interesting, great to watch. You get all of it happening all in that one go.
Exactly. We've also got the option tyre that the teams will be used. It will be phased back in at 4 of the 10 scheduled events. And 2 of the main ones. So speaking of tyres, Goodyear has taken over tyre duties from Dunlop as a main full tyre supplier until 2026. This was a piece of information that, as of the time of us recording this, which was the 9th of February, was confirmed I think about 2 weeks ago. And that basically means that they've got all the tyre duties now completely until 2026, either until the contract renews or until another tyre supplier may step in and take the reins over. But one particular rule change, and as me and Ben were thinking about this before we started, is that this is something that could have a significant impact on the racing, and we'll get to it a bit further down the line as well, which is the ballast that the cars will be carrying. So normally, for those that don't know, British Touring Car has a ballast system to kind of level out the playing field with the racing and stuff like that. So last year, from 10th, 1st to 10th, so it was 60 kilos, 54 kilos, 48, 42, 36, 30, 24, 18, 12 and 6, in that order from 1st to 10th place. However, in 2021, the ballast has been increased by a couple of kilos. Most notably, the 1st to 3rd places have had significant changes. So, first will now be carrying a maximum of 75 kilos instead of 60. Second will be carrying 66 kilos instead of 54 kilo. Third will be carrying 57 instead of 48 kilos. And as for 4th down to 10th, it's about a couple of kilograms more. So it's like, for example, 4th it's an extra 6 kilo, 5th it's 3. I think it's about 3 up for the rest of the way down as well.
It's 3 for the rest of the way down, yeah. See, what I was thinking on...
Go on, Ben.
What I was thinking on that was really, for anybody who gets 1st or 2nd this year, you could technically be at a disadvantage for third place, because third place is really pretty similar to getting a 60 last year for first. So in theory, you're used to that weight, or you should be. Whereas second and third, they're above the maximum you would have had last year, and you might not be used to that amount of ballast on your car, especially with the tracks where they have a decent uphill section. It could affect you. So really, you could be at a disadvantage to third for the next race.
Exactly. I mean, it's one of these things that, again, we'll probably talk about later on down the line, but as you said, like, the grip of your car will definitely change, so you never know what you might end up getting, like, towards the latter end of the season, when everyone's running completely different, ballasts and stuff like that. So you never know. But moving on to the next part, swiftly moving on, there's quite a bit of news now. Like I said, as of right now, we're currently recording this on the 9th of Feb, and there's a couple of seats that have still been undecided, but we're going to go through pretty much all the driver changes between last year and this year. There might be a few that we may miss off, but that's because they haven't changed teams or nothing's changed from their side. But for those that are entering or re-entering the British Touring Car, we've got Aaron Taylor-Smith returning to the series after having last raced in 2017 for MG, he's going to be driving a third car for Team Hard. Jason Plato will be returned to the series with Paramax Racing, the Vauxhall team. As you can tell, that makes me very happy. That's after his sabbatical when obviously the COVID-19 pandemic hit in 2020. Sam Smelt will be returned to the series after having last raced in 2018 for AMD. And he'll be driving a new second car for Toyota Gazoo Racing. So those are the ones that are entering the British Touring Car, or re-entering, should we say. Now for the the drivers that have changed teams. So we've got Jack Putel will move from Carlu RRR Racing to Accelerate Trade Price Cars. Cal Borley will move from Team Hard to Laser Tools Racing. Tom Chilton will move from BTC Racing to Sicily Motorsport. Jade Edwards will move from PowerMax Car Care Racing to the BTC Racing team. Tom Ingram will move from Toyota Gazoo Racing UK to Accelerate Trade Price Cars. This should be noted, he did this on a multi-year contract, so this isn't just a one-year thing. So he's going to be there for a couple of years.
And that's a big move because it's a completely different setup in every way.
Exactly. And
whereas
also,
he was working with the last setup really well, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Most of the contracts for the drivers at the moment are have been decided on like a yearly basis. So the fact that he signed a multi-year shows his determination to stay with that team, I guess, and to progress with it. Speaking of changes that you didn't see coming, Rory Butcher's going to be moving from Motorbase to the Toyota team to take up the vacant spot by Tom Ingram, and Sam Osborne and Ollie Jackson will swap their seats between Mark Blundell Motorsport, or MB Motorsport, and Motorbase Performance. So we have quite a couple of drivers that have changed teams. However, whilst we talk about the people that have changed teams and that have returned to the BTCC, we should also note that some team changes have happened over the off-season. So we've got Team Hard will switch from running the Volkswagen CC to the new Cupra Leon, which I think looks quite nice. The TradePriceCars.com team will merge with Accelerate Motorsport and will switch from running the Audi S3 Saloon to the Hyundai i30 Fastback M Performance car. Sicily Motorsport will switch from running the Mercedes-Benz A-Class to the WSR Prepared BMW 3 Series, which obviously WSR is running. MB Motorsport has took over Motorbase Performance and will switch from running the Honda Civic Type R, most notably the FK2 model, to 4 Ford Focus ST cars, 2 of which will be entered under the Motorbase banner. Team Parker Racing had sold their TBL to Carl Borley and will leave the championship, unfortunately. And then the last 3, which are worth noting quite in a big way, is Team Hard. So the team that Jade Edwards will be racing for. Team Hard that Carl Borley was racing for last season. That team and Laser Tools Racing have actually become alliances. They're going to remain as separate teams in the championship, but they'll run a combined 7 cars between them as an alliance, which is pretty impressive. Toyota will be running 2 cars this year instead of the 1, with Roy Butcher and Sam Smelt. As I said before, they're the drivers. And BTC Racing are switching to Tucker engines in their Civic Type R FK8 cars. That's all of the team changes to go over. And any particular worth notable mentions, would you say there, Ben?
Ingram's definitely a big one. His move could be interesting. Could also be interesting for Rory Butcher, because if Rory Butcher stays out of trouble and gets on with that car, which as Ingram proved it's a good car to get on with, Butcher could do remarkably well for himself this year. So that's a huge change. Jade Edwards, I'm hoping that she gets a lot of good runs, because when we saw her, she was really good last year. So I'm hoping she can prove herself to be really good and do some remarkable stuff. And then a lot of the teams that have changed to different cars could be quite interesting, because especially Motor-Based Performance and everything, they're all like, it's MB Motorsport.
Yeah.
The Honda Civics changing to the Ford Focuses, that seems like quite an interesting change completely as well. So there's quite a lot of changes going into this season. It's mixing things completely for some people.
I think for me, 2 of the biggest ones for the season, team changes wise, are Team Hard, because they're running the new Cupra Leon, and also Sicily Motorsport, because they're going to be running the WSR BMW 3 Series. So I think that team's going to be more competitive, because I think the Merc was falling out of being competitive last year.
Yeah,
even though Adam Morgan put in a good performances, I think that, with that car, if you can get used to a rear-wheel drive car instead of a front-wheel drive, or whatever the drive the Merc was, I think that there's a real shot that team could actually be a thorn in the side, potentially. Especially given WSR's track record with that 3 Series in the last 2 years. So I think that if we're lucky, we might see more. Obviously, the British Touring Car is close no matter what anyway. But I think that this will make the racing even more closer, more cars being even closer together because of the performance of them and the drivers that are obviously racing them. But with that being said, we will move swiftly, we'll just quickly run down the calendar. So for those that don't know, the calendar has been put back a few weeks due to the pandemic. So the season's going to kick off at Thruxton on the 8th/9th of May. That will be followed a week later with Snetterton on the 15th and 16th of May. Then we skip forward about a month almost to Brands Hatch Indy, which is on the 12th/13th of June. Alton Park is 3 weeks after that, I think it is. Actually, I say 3 weeks, it's more like a month and a half, because it's the 31st of July to the 1st of August. Knockhill is 2 weeks after that. Thruxton 2 weeks after that, so that'll be the second round at Thruxton. Then we've got about another 3 weeks to wait until Croft on the 18th and 19th of September. Silverstone follows that a week later, the 25th and 26th of September. And then we have Donington Park, that follows 2 weeks later, so quite a late round in the championship. Usually it's at the start or around the start, it's not too far into the year. And obviously we'll finish with the usual anticlimax, which is, not the anticlimax, the usual finale, which is the Brands Hatch GP circuit on the 23rd and 24th of October. As for races in particular, none of them have really changed much from last year. Most of the circuits are going to remain the same as what they did from the year before, so from last year. However, as we know with the pandemic and things like that, the Brands Hatch Indy circuit was actually the finale and the GP circuit was the other way around. It was earlier in the year. Obviously this year they're putting it a bit back to normal and things are going to be pretty much straightforward again like they were in 2019. Like I said, the only main notable mention is that Donington is in October rather than in March. But obviously with a delayed start to the season, I'm still surprised that they put it that late. I think they've swapped Snetterton and Donington by the looks of it on the calendar. But yeah, apart from that, onwards and upwards, I guess. Right, okay, so with that, with the calendar, drive changes and the rule changes out of the way, that brings us on to who will have the best chance of winning the title in 2021. So we'll go over, obviously, between the two of us, like who we think will be the best. I'll let Ben actually kick this one off. So Ben, who do you think is going to win the title this year? Driver and team, if you please.
Okay. See, I'm not good on the team names. Well, for driver, I'll definitely would go with Ingram, really, just because I just like Ingram as sort of like, he's kind of like an underdog guy, and I want him to do well because he was doing pretty well last season. I want him to just do really well for a new team. Clearly, he's got a big contract with them, and hopefully, I'm thinking that's because he knows the car might be good or something. You know, he's sort of like when Lewis did his old contract, a good couple of years back, because he knew the car and everything that was going into was going to be good. I'm hoping it's something like that. The car and the team will be really great around him, and he'll manage to get in them top positions enough to where he can keep the points going throughout the season like Sutton did, and then win in the end because he gains the points for the fastest lap and the points for leading the race, and all them other bits carry on with him. And as for teams, oh Jesus, I'm trying to think, what team is he driving for now?
Who are we talking?
Ingram.
Not Toyota. Accelerate Motorsport.
Yeah, I don't think them. I think for the team, I think Team Hard. I think they might stand a good chance. Really, is like being the team what goes through in the most points. Just depends on how them the Seat Cupras get on, really.
I'm expecting good things from the Cupra, but I have a bad feeling that they won't do as good. But
see, it used to be good in World Touring cars. It was a very good car then, but obviously I think that was a different chassis to the one now. But personally, I'd say probably Team Hard might be the team what might take it at the end of the season.
I mean, I couldn't, from where I'm sat, I couldn't put like a definite, a definite yes on any one particular driver. In terms of some that I think would be worth keeping an eye out for, obviously Ingram, see how he does with the Infinity. Not the Infinity, the Hyundai, sorry. But most notably, the Sicilian Motorsport team of Tom Chilton and Adam Morgan. I think that will be a force to be reckoned with this season. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to take over Team WSI, the BMW main team, but I think that they'll do quite well. Same with Laser Tools Racing. I think a lot of the teams will do quite well this season, but if I had to put my money on one definite team, I'm going to go with last year's champions. As crazy as that probably sounds, and you can't be too sure with British Touring Car, I'm going to say that Sutton's going to win it again, and Laser Tools Racing are going to be the champions for the second consecutive year. Now, that's probably a daft idea, considering that it's not often that you get unless you call it Turkington.
Yeah,
Turkington, where you get several, but all other drivers. But I think because he's now got the car under him, and he's not having to rely on the heaviness of the Subaru Levorg that he had in 2019. I think that there'll be a very close fight between him, Turkington, and Morgan. Obviously Ingram will probably be right up there. Butcher will be intrigued to see how he does in a Toyota.
Butcher, I was thinking he could somehow pull it out as well. He could be an interesting one.
And I'm going to say, as a bit of a special one, Jason Plato in the Vauxhall.
Yeah,
because he might have had a year
to have him back.
The last year he was in 2019, he did get a win and a pole position. So I'm not saying he'll come back with a bang like that. But that Vauxhall, even in the hands of like Jade Edwards and stuff last year, who, by the way, is no professional at British Touring Car, it has to be known because she's not been in it too long. I think she made a debut last year. So, given the car that it is, and given Jason's experience, I think he's also one to watch. I mean,
yeah, I'm just happy to have him back. He's a good face for the sport. He's someone who's very well known to quite a lot of people.
It's like MB Motorsport as well. That's another team which I think can handle things quite well because they've now got the Ford Focuses, not the Honda Civics that they had last year. So it really depends. I mean, at this current moment in time, we don't know. Obviously, we don't know who's going to win and all the rest of it, and only time will tell as the season goes on. But I think the season will be a lot closer. In terms of the new rules, is it benefiting anybody in particular, do you think?
From my personal point of view, I think anybody could have an advantage apart from the top couple places based on ballast alone. Like some people could go into them final races and you could just somehow pull it out the back because you've got not as much ballast as some of the guys who might be better drivers than you. But if they're carrying the full 75, you could have a driver like Sutton or Turkington have that, and you're carrying no ballast at all somehow, and you've managed to get into a good position. You could win the race just by default.
So you reckon we're expecting a few more new winners this season then?
I'm hoping it'd be nice. Obviously, if you have a track like Brands Hatch where you've got the Sudden Hill right off the start, if you're carrying no ballast at all compared to somebody carrying the full 75, it could make a difference of a big shunt up the hill.
Well, let's not forget as well, it's not just the circuits that make the difference. The weather also makes a difference as well, doesn't it? Depending on what we get.
Oh, so yeah. A wet weather race, anything can happen, no matter what motorsport it is.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting time, that's for sure. But final thoughts on the upcoming British Touring Car season? I take it you're very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm probably more excited for this season than I was for the start of last season because of how good last season was. Based on the fact of the changes that we're going into it with, I don't see any of them making it worse than it was. All the changes with the teams, Plato's back.
I think hopefully, a lot of cars and the power, it's going to balance itself out, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It hopefully might be more balanced with everything. It could be even more competitive and people more close to each other and crazy new winners for each race is going into the whole season, really. You could just have the whole first couple of rounds all could be a completely different winner in every so often a race, really, which would be great to see.
Exactly. I mean, in terms of, like I said, to kind of just round this video out as well, is that just so we're clear on what predictions we've made, I'll predict that. So my predictions are that Ash Sutton will win a third championship and Lazy Tools Racing will win the Constructors. And Ben, what was your predictions? Your predictions was...
Ingram will win championship, and then I think Team Hard, they'll probably take the Constructors somehow, because Seats will be better than people realise.
Interesting predictions, but only one of us could be more closer than the other. We'll obviously find this out as we go through the entire year. Do be sure to enjoy. Well, that's actually been all from us for this video. But do be sure to leave a like if you did enjoy. And whatsoever, again, no thanks to Ben for doing this video.
Thank you. You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
But yeah, just to mention as well is that during this season, the 2021 season, myself and Ben are going to try and get out a weekend review after every race weekend. It won't be straight away, but we're going to be doing one for most of the race weekends this year. I thought I'd drop that bombshell at the end of this video so you've got something even more to look forward to as the year goes on. So very much looking forward to those. Of course, don't forget to leave your own predictions down in the comments section down below. And until our next video, thank you for watching everybody, and we'll see you very soon. Ta-ra!
Bye!